I want to tell you a story today from 2007, which is now several years ago, but feels like it's in the future almost to some of us, right? In 2007, the violin virtuoso Joshua Bell agreed to participate in a kind of test of public perception. A writer for the Washington Post asked Joshua Bell if he would use his talents in an unlikely setting for an article for the paper, and he agreed. So on January 12th of that year, Joshua Bell, star of concert stages around the globe, wearing a baseball cap and casual clothes, played his 300-year-old Stradivarius at rush hour in a Washington, D.C. metro station. You hear about that, hearing about it as I've looked into it and written a talk around it, makes me wonder, would I personally have noticed the blessed vision of such a God-gifted talent in the humdrum workaday setting of a transit center? Would any of us, or would we have just walked on by? A hidden camera recorded what did happen, and journalists analyzed the movements and responses of passers-by and later interviewed those who stopped to listen. Their job in doing so was not such an epic task, because while Mr. Bell performed for 3/4 of an hour and nearly 1,100 people passed by him, a total of 27 individuals interacted with his playing in some way, usually just for a few moments at a time. 27 people out of nearly 1,100 gave him the time of day. Not once did a crowd gather. And Mr. Bell, who regularly fills concert halls where single tickets might go for $500, collected $32.17 in the open case, where he normally rests his multi-million-dollar violin. $32.17, yes, some people threw in pennies. Bell later made light of the small return on his time, stating, "Actually, that's $40 an hour. I could make an okay living doing this, and I wouldn't have to pay an agent." But the virtuoso also acknowledged that it wasn't easy personally to deal with the way his art was received in this setting. He said it was a strange feeling that people were actually ignoring me. Think about it. He was about 39 years old at that point, and he'd probably been the focus of attention for people when he played since he was 10 years old or something. And there he was, being ignored. He said, "I started to appreciate any acknowledgement, even a slight glance. I was oddly grateful when someone threw in $1 instead of change. When you play for ticket holders, you're already validated." But, he said, "I thought this, what if they don't like me? What if they resent my presence?" The experiment, if it shows anything, demonstrates that we don't often perceive the beauty in the moment, and that even a consummate artist can be insecure. A video of this performance, you can find it online, can be unsettling to watch. It shows that Bell starts to play and 63 people walk past before there's any response at all, even a glance. Finally, one man alters his pace momentarily, turns his head, and appears to note that, there seems to be some dude playing music. Then he resumes his commute. A half minute later, Bell got his first donation. A woman threw in $1 and moved on quickly. It was not until 6 minutes in that someone actually stopped at all and listened. Things never got much better. In the 43 minutes that Mr. Bell played, exactly 7 people of the 1,097 who passed stopped what they were doing to hang around and take in his performance, at least for a few moments. Those 7 and 20 others pitched in a bit of money, most of it on the run, for a total of $32 and change. That leaves 1,070 people, about 98% of the total, who hurried by oblivious, many only a few feet away, very few even turning to look. What we see is largely a product of our expectations. No one entering the L'Enfant Plaza metro station in DC that Friday morning would have expected to see a world-class violinist, and almost no one did. Virtually no one was expecting all that beauty. There's a Navajo prayer that says, in part, "With beauty all around me may I walk." But the sweetness, the beauty of each moment is something that, for whatever reason, we often do not allow ourselves, or we do not remember, or we do not even see. What we see is what we expect to see. And maybe we've learned too often to reduce our expectations, lest they be rebuked by a parent or an inner parent we still carry or a peer. Maybe we don't see the beauty for ourselves because no one else is noticing it. And we want to fit in, so we adopt whatever prejudice is present. There's a moment I'll never forget in the 1975 film One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, when Jack Nicholson's character, McMurphy, has stolen a bus and takes his fellow inmates from the insane asylum down to an oceanside dock where they're going to make off with a sailboat. There you go, a fishing boat, may not have been a sailboat. And at the last moment, a dock attendant catches up with them. "What are you men doing?" he demands. Nicholson, all charisma, charm, and chutzpah, says, "Hello, I'm Dr. McMurphy from the hospital, and these are my colleagues." And as he introduces each of his companions, saying, "This is Dr. Cheswick. Here's Dr. Harding. Allow me to introduce Professor Tabor." And watching, we see that whatever appeared crazy or demented in each man's character and demeanor before now has shifted and seems merely eccentric or distinguished. Our expectations change and conform to those of the target observer, who's completely taken in and ends up urging all the doctors to have a good day fishing. Do you have eyes and fail to see? Do you have ears and fail to hear? Jesus asks the disciples. Their responses are not documented, but if they were honest, if they were like most of us, perhaps, they would have said, yes, we don't see. We don't always get it. We see what we think we're going to see, and we get lost in our thoughts. We fret about the fishing nets we left in the boat, or our kids, or what we're going to pay the tax collectors, and we fail to walk in beauty. We miss out, we worry, our thoughts return to where we were rushing to. We fail to align ourselves with this report from the life and words of Mary Oliver, the great late poet. She wrote, 10 times a day, something happens to me like this, some strengthening throb of amazement, some good, sweet, empathic ping and swell. This is the first, the wildest, and the wisest thing I know. that the soul is built entirely out of attentiveness. Many times our attention is not there and we miss the empathic ping and swell. We are busy, truly and legitimately for the most part. We have many concerns, so many plans, and we race from task to task as through the metro stations of our mind as we push past beauty without noticing. And then even if we're not actually too busy, from a lifetime we have that busyness habit of mind, the old Protestant work ethic, the drive, the jump, the push to move on, the frontier ethos, the can-do spirit. And that's why we come here, isn't it? To just be present. The message, the music, the fellowship, the snacks, I should say, in this wonderful gathering, it's always the amazing potluck that was put together. All these may be worthy of praise, or perhaps just okay on any given day. But we become present for a few moments, just present. This may happen for some of us in our daily prayers, or meditations, or exercise, or playing music, or hugging a loved one. I personally have made a new practice of every day. The first thing I do is if I go outside, if I can manage, it was 50 degrees today outside in my bathrobe, and I do Tai Chi. Because my body needs it and my spirit needs it. And I've been doing that the past month or so, and I hope to continue to the end. I always had it once in a while. Now I'm making it a daily thing. But even when we have these practices, we have moments when we push the stillness and the connection and the heart space away. And coming together like this reminds us of its value. Now, a patient in the substance use disorder residential treatment center, when I was working residential, I still work there in the outpatient world, but this patient complained to me one day, "It's so boring here," because due to HIPAA privacy concerns, we take away their smartphones so they can't take pictures of everybody there and post them, right? That would be illegal. I'm so bored, I don't have my phone. But a day or so later, I met with this young man, and he said, "It's really been great. We don't have distractions here." I've been able to focus on what's going on for me inside. He was able to focus and to be present for a change, for his own change. At the metro station, when Joshua Bell played, there was no pattern to the backgrounds of or circumstances of those who actually watched and listened. No identifiers chosen in advance could have separated those who paid attention and those who dropped some money in the violin case from those who hurried past. With one exception, there was one demographic that displayed a consistent behavior. Every single time a child walked past, she or he tried to stop and watch. And this will break your heart. And each and every time a parent or caregiver scooted the kid away. At that time, the disciples came to Jesus and asked, "Who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven?" He called a child, whom he put among them and said, "Truly I tell you, unless you change and become like children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Whoever becomes humble like this child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. Although since I'm not into kings and I'm into connecting, I call it the kingdom of heaven personally. We're all related. Whoever welcomes one such child in my name welcomes me, he said. Now, we all have had our childhoods, and we became adults. You know, Sal has a really funny song about that, where an adult is singing to a kid who's complaining, and the singer is saying, "Yep, grown-ups are strange. That's a fact.
They haven't going forward. They cannot go back.
Grown-ups are weird. Yes, it's true."
Someday it could happen to you.
There's no returning to the innocence of our childhoods. We know that. But Jesus' invitation is to become humble like this child. Humble, we don't know what word he said, right? But we use the English to spin off into this thought. Humble is a word from the Latin humus, earth, to have a modest opinion of oneself and behave in an unassuming manner. The word human comes from that same root. We are divine, but we are of the earth. And blessed are the meek, walking in humility. Now, it's still 2025, so I'm mandated by ministerial code to quote Albert Schweitzer in every talk. In Albert Schweitzer's autobiography, he wrote, "The future depends on each person striving to manifest true humanity. To such a person, all life is holy." If I can come from that place of humility, innocence, wonder, I may enter into beauty. I can connect with heaven, and I will stop perhaps to listen to Joshua Bell or whoever else is bringing beauty to this world. I am open to the blessed vision. I want to bring another passage of Mary Oliver's poetry into our time together. Her poem, Praying. It doesn't have to be the blue iris. It could be weeds in a vacant lot, or a few small stones. Just pay attention. Then patch a few words together. And don't try to make them elaborate. This isn't a contest, but the doorway into thanks and a silence in which another voice may speak. I, like everyone, I suppose, have approached moments of contact with others with more of a contest than doorway frame of mind. I've spoken words with less compassion and kindness than I might have. I've spread not love, but hurt at points in my pathways. And what I've noticed about the aftermath of those caustic encounters is that I was no longer in the moment, in the now. Instead, caught up in regret, I found myself wondering when I became this mean person. And when will I ever change, becoming judge, jury, and executioner toward me and all that? And if I were to encounter Joshua Bell or Yo-Yo Ma or even Albert Schweitzer in a metro station, I probably would have walked right past that beauty. Although it's hard to imagine how Schweitzer would have done it because he played pipe organ. It's hard to busk with a pipe organ, I'm just saying. But I would have missed the blessed vision. and I would have been wandering in the darkness, for I would have been full of woe, regret, and care. Thankfully, I don't live there all the time, and I've been blessed with a partner who brings me into the blessed vision, and with people like you who are present and who continue to remind me and inspire me. Before I close, I want to give you one more set of words about beauty and about noticing it. About 100 years, more or less, before Joshua Bell came into this world, another artist was born in Wales. His name was William Henry Davies. W.H. Davies, as he is known, was many things, a writer to be sure, but he also spent a great deal of his life as a hobo and a vagabond, just like Glenn. Mr. Davies, just kidding, just like me. Mr. Davies, however, was also and primarily a poet. And his most famous work, written in 1911, speaks well to our theme today. And so I leave you with Leisure by W.H. Davies. What is this life if full of care? We have no time to stand and stare. No time to stand beneath the boughs and stare as long as sheep and cows. No time to see when woods we pass where squirrels hide their nuts in grass. No time to see in broad daylight streams full of stars like skies at night. No time to turn at beauty's glance and watch her feet, how they can dance. No time to wait till her mouth can enrich that smile her eyes began. A poor life this, if full of care. We have no time to stand and stare. May you have time, may we all take time today to stand and stare. May we even see and be graced by the blessed vision. May you become humble like a child, and may you walk in beauty.